Our planet is in constant motion. The Earth rotates on its axis once every 27 days. As a result of this rotation, we experience day and night. But what if one day our Earth decides to stop spinning? What would happen if the Earth stopped rotating on its axis? How would it affect us humans? There are many theories about how the Earth started rotating. According to one of them, the Moon was once a part of the Earth that broke off, after a large asteroid hit the planet. After the collision, both celestial bodies continued orbiting around their common center of mass. Due to tidal forces, the Earth's rotation speed gradually slowed down. Even now, the Moon's gravity slows down our planet by 6.1 meters per century. Scientists also considered the possibility that the Earth got its rotation from another space object, for example, a passing star or a wandering planet. However, none of these theories can explain why the Earth rotates only once a year when all other celestial bodies rotate many times faster. But regardless of where the Earth got its rotation from, it's clear that without this rotation, life on our planet would be completely different. So what will happen if the Earth stops spinning? Oh, will anything change? Let's find out. If the Earth were to stop spinning, the first thing we'd notice is that the sky wouldn't change throughout the day. We wouldn't see the sun rise and set anymore. The sun would just hang in the sky and remain in the same place. In addition, one day would be much longer than we're used to, since the Earth would complete a full rotation around the sun in just 24 hours, and night would be replaced by continuous daylight. It would get dark only after the Earth's orbit around the sun intersected with the shadow cast by the Moon. This could happen, for example, at 4:30 p.m. on October 2024, but don't rejoice too early. Such a sunset would be the last one in human history. So the absence of rotation would bring an end to many things we're accustomed to. But our planet would continue to exist. For some time anyway, the Earth would continue to make a complete revolution around the sun in 365 days. Its orbit is maintained by inertia, which means that the Earth won't suddenly leave its usual path, won't even come closer to the sun or move further away from it. The orbit will be slightly modified only due to the gravitational pull of the Moon and other planets. But these changes aren't critical. However, our planet would no longer have its familiar shape. Without rotation, the Earth would pull down all the land and water from the poles and push them towards the equator. The equatorial bulge would increase, and the Earth would become wider. On average, the planet would be 137 meters wider at the equator. Of course, this process would take millions of years. The centrifugal force arising from the Earth's rotation currently stretches the planet by about 43 kilometers. Without rotation, this force would disappear, which would cause the Earth to collapse somewhat. Besides the change in shape, the Earth would shrink a bit. The centrifugal force caused by the rotation pulls the Earth away from the center of the Earth. The Earth would get rid of this force and the planet would literally get smaller. It would become about 10 kilometers thinner. Moreover, the Earth's magnetic field, which is partly created by the rotation of our planet, would change. The Earth's magnetic field protects us from harmful cosmic radiation and solar wind. Without rotation, the magnetosphere would change its shape, and we might be left unprotected. In addition, the atmosphere would no longer circulate. Air movement would only be caused by temperature differences between the equator and the poles. Air would move from the equator to the poles along curved trajectories. At the same time, winds would blow from east to west at the equator and from west to east near the poles. There would also be a lot of hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones. These phenomena would occur due to the fact that air masses would move from regions of high pressure near the poles to areas of low pressure near the equator. Moreover, in some regions, an inversion of the atmosphere would happen, which would lead to acid rain. All this would happen within 2 weeks after the Earth stopped spinning. After that, the atmosphere would begin to gradually settle down. But the climate on our planet would change dramatically. If the Earth were to stop spinning, there would be scorching heat at the equator and freezing cold at the poles. Currently, the Earth's rotation partly compensates for the sun's rays. Due to the curvature of the Earth, the rays are distributed more evenly over the planet's surface. But without rotation, most of the sun's energy would be concentrated near the equator. Because of this, the average temperature at the equator would increase by almost 4 degrees Celsius. And the higher the latitude, the lower the temperature would be. By 85 degrees north and south, the temperature would drop to -59 degrees. That's how much the Earth's rotation affects our climate. And of course, the absence of rotation would affect weather forecasts. Now, weather balloons and satellites constantly monitor the state of the atmosphere and its movement, which allows meteorologists to make accurate predictions for several days in advance. If the Earth were to stop spinning, conventional weather models would become useless. They'd have to be completely redesigned. But all these changes would be insignificant compared to what would happen next. Without rotation, the Earth would slowly but surely begin to lose its atmosphere. This would happen because the Earth's gravity would change. Now, the Earth's gravity is slightly lower at the equator than at the poles. Due to centrifugal force, any object near the equator moves a little faster than it should. As a result, centrifugal force weakens the gravitational pull of the Earth. The rotation of our planet makes the Earth's gravity about 0.5% lower at the equator than at the poles. As you can see, the difference is small. However, in the absence of rotation, it would cause the atmosphere to gradually move from the equator to the poles. Over billions of years, the Earth has retained its atmosphere, not only due to gravity, but also thanks to the rotation speed. When the Earth rotates, the atmosphere is carried along with it. However, the atmosphere would no longer be distributed evenly over the planet. The optimal atmosphere would only be present at the poles. While the Earth would be enveloped in a thick atmosphere, there would be practically nothing left of it at the equator. With the loss of the atmosphere, all life on Earth would die out. Plants would die due to the lack of oxygen. Animals would die from mechanical suffocation. Humans would hardly be able to survive. Only microorganisms could withstand such conditions. So, it turns out that the Earth's rotation is necessary not only for day and night, it plays a huge role in maintaining life on our planet. But what would happen if the Earth started rotating faster? Our planet is gradually slowing down. The Moon's gravity pulls the Earth at a speed of 6.1 meters per century. But we can try to speed up our planet artificially. In 1995, the European Space Agency launched the Gravity, probing and studying Mars satellite to study the red planet. The spacecraft was equipped with a device called a gravity gradiometer, which measured the strength of the planet's gravity in different places. The satellite had to circle Mars for only 500 days, but it stayed in orbit for much longer due to an error. The spacecraft circled the planet until 2003, changing its orbit. Gradually, the satellite approached the Earth, and in March of that year, it entered our planet's orbit. And since then, the gravity satellite has been orbiting the Earth. Now imagine that instead of one satellite, thousands of spaceships enter the Earth's orbit, each with its own gravity gradiometer, and all of them would begin to accelerate our planet. But how exactly would this process work?
To understand this,
Let's look at the Moon. It revolves around the Earth at a speed of 1.2 kilometers per second. And the Earth rotates on its axis once every 27 days at a speed of about 1670 kilometers per hour.
Ow.
And now let's put the Earth into orbit around the Sun. The speed is about 29.8 kilometers per second. You can see that the Earth rotates on its axis much slower than it moves around the Sun or even its Moon. If we somehow manage to increase the Earth's rotation speed and make it rotate 3 times a year, the centrifugal force arising from the rotation would increase significantly. As a result, the Earth would move away from the Sun. And if our planet moved away enough from the Sun, it would be very difficult for it to return back. And the Earth would simply leave the solar system. This is unlikely to happen soon, since the centrifugal force of rotation makes up only 0.00002% of the gravitational force. To make the Earth move away from the Sun, we need to increase its rotation speed by 100,000 times. But even if this did happen, the consequences would be insignificant. As we said earlier, the Earth would become a bit wider, and the length of the year would decrease. But the main thing is that the Earth would no longer be affected by the tides, because they re-caused by the difference in the gravitational pull of the Moon from different parts of our planet. Without rotation, the Moon would affect the Earth equally from all sides. The height of the waves would decrease, and the tides would become weak. So, despite the fact that the Earth's rotation speed affects many processes on our planet, it'll take millions of years before these processes cause significant changes. So don't worry, our Earth won't suddenly stop rotating. But do you think it'd be cool to live on a planet that rotates 3 times a day? Share your thoughts.